Welcome to episode number 64 of Hoop Talk Fanatics. I'm here with my co-host, Chris Korn, and we have a lot of things to cover this episode. We will be covering a couple of the biggest games that happened over this past weekend and previewing the top games this upcoming weekend. And there's a lot to look forward to, especially this weekend slate with a massive slate of great matchups, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, so many big games happen, and we're about like a month in a conference play for a lot of these teams. So like getting towards that midway point,
Yeah.
and this weekend's kind of a big like the top teams in all the conferences are playing basically like the top two. So it's best on best. Going to see what teams are made of, and most of these teams will get rematches later in the season between these big games. But it's a big moment for like there's a lot of top 10 teams playing each other, so it's as good of a day in college basketball as we're gonna have all regular season, and I'm
hmm
excited.
So uh, I jotted down some biggest games that happened over this past weekend. So let's start with Iowa State upsetting Kansas. They Keyshawn Keyshawn Gilbert and Curtis Jones were a big problems for the Jayhawks that game, and Trey King also was a big asset to that game for the Cyclones. And what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, you mentioned the three guys for Iowa State who shot the ball really well. Kansas, you knew that was a tough one to win on the road. The reason Iowa State was they were a couple point favorite, betting favorite. And the Jayhawks, they've struggled away from home. Um, but like you mentioned, Jones and Gilbert, they made a lot of big shots in the second half. But I
hmm
think Trey King's he had made I don't know the exact number. He had made like three pointers prior to this game, and I
Yeah.
think he made three. He doubled the season total in that
hmm
game, which kind of really threw off the game plan. They were going to kind of sag off him a little bit and let him shoot that three, and he hit a couple in the first half, which kind of changed the game plan.
hmm
And then just a couple tough breaks in the half. They're down 6 or 7, and then Iowa State just caught fire in the second half. I was pretty
Yeah.
impressed with Kansas played. Kevin McCullough couldn't shoot the ball at all. It was a terrible performance, and he sat out of the game against Oklahoma State last night because of injury, and has played a big factor in some of his struggles recently. So good to see him get a day off. But just Iowa State just caught fire, and Kansas did some things defensively that allowed them to do that, but they
hmm
made a couple tough shots late in shot clocks, and they were able to just hold the Jayhawks at bay because Kansas they made plays down the stretch and get back into it, get within striking distance. But a couple big plays from Iowa State's guards really kept it at ease, and they were able to secure a big win between just two really good basketball teams. I think this is more about Iowa State being a real threat and Kansas maybe not being as good as anticipated, which still could be true. They've had their struggles, but I think it's you just got to give props to Iowa State. It was a big win,
hmm
and they've shown they're one of the best teams in the Big 12 right now. So really excited to see how they perform this week.
So Iowa State improved to 13-0 at home, um, which is pretty big for them. Uh, what do you think about their next game? I forget. They're playing Baylor
Yeah,
on
they go
Saturday.
at Baylor
Yeah.
Saturday. So they had the week off after Kansas, which gives them extra time to rest and prep for
hmm
Baylor, which is big. They had two just grueling games at home. They were both at home last week against Kansas State and Kansas. They were physical games, so having that extra time off is going to be really beneficial for them, I think. I mean, definitely will be. I think it'll help them a lot because now you mentioned 13-0 at home. They played the tougher home games already, and they've won them.
hmm
They've still have to come to play obviously because no team's easy in the Big 12, but they've won a lot of quality games at home that are really going to boost their resume. And they just now can they get a couple on the road and compete for a Big 12 title? I think that's
hmm
something I was striving for. So they beat Kansas and Houston at home already, two of the two top teams in the conference. So why can't they be in that discussion as well? But they got back-to-back home games at TCU, at Baylor, at Texas before hosting TCU. So they got a chance to really can they get some road wins? Teams in the conference haven't done that besides
Hmm.
outside of Houston. Texas Tech's won on the road a little bit, but Houston's won some big road games, and it's just not happening in the conference. Kansas still only has one at Oklahoma State. That's the only road win. So like it's just not going to happen in this conference consistently. But at
Hmm.
Baylor and at Texas are two good opponents, but those are winnable games for Iowa State. So really interested to see how they kind of do that and move forward. And I think after these two games we'll have a better idea of how to gauge them in the Big 12.
Hmm.
But if they could split these two, I think there we go, back online. That was so weird.
Do you have bad weather?
No, it's just complete fluke. I don't know what's going on.
Oh,
But yeah,
me-
did you hear all my thoughts on Iowa State at least?
yeah, I did.
I feel like we finished that up. I think we can move on if you want.
Okay. Um, so up next is Texas Tech beating 11th ranked Oklahoma. Um, that was a really good game. I felt like Texas Tech definitely had had everything going in the right direction. Um, what do you think about Pop Isaac's 18 points and having 13 in the second half?
He made a lot of big plays for them late in
Yeah.
that game. He got to the free throw line, and he's a really good basketball player for them, really good offensively, and helps like take them to the next level, I think. And yeah, just definitely really talented guy. And Texas Tech has really surprised me to start Big 12 play, honestly. I thought maybe they're a tournament team, but they've kind of shown they're a lot more than that.
Hmm.
Super exciting to see kind of just how they've kind of played. Because last year, coach Grant Mix, I don't care, McSassland or something. I don't remember the exact, but from North Texas, they got their coach, and he's done a great job, just as he did at North Texas for so many years.
Hmm.
And just really talented. You mentioned Isaacs, Chance McMillan at 27 for him in that game as well, and
Hmm.
that was a big road win for them. Oklahoma's been up and down a little bit in conference play, which was kind of expected after a really hot non-conference start for them. But they've started to play. Oklahoma's kind of settled in a little bit, and they still have some good players, but they did a really good job defensively. Javion McCollum only had 7 on 2 for 11 shooting, which I don't have in front of me, but I assume that was that's probably his worst game of the season or one of.
Hmm.
But they did a really good job defending some guys, and I allowed them to make the plays needed to win on the road because Oklahoma, that's not a easy place to play, and getting road wins are you'll take any road win you can get, no matter how ugly it can be. And they found a way to win a close one.
Um, I saw McMillan made 10 of 13 and was 6 for 8 from the 3-point range uh, for the seniors. And I think that definitely sparked the edge of the winning that game.
Definitely, I think his shooting really opened. It kind
I
of
mean
opened things up.
losing. I mean, sorry. I thought that he sparked, but somehow Oklahoma didn't have all of the momentum uh, beating a good Texas Tech team.
Oh, sorry, yeah, no, you. It's just yeah, they just didn't have enough consistent output offensively. I felt like, but yeah, definitely still had some good things to see. Soares also had 19 and 10 off the bench for them.
Hmm.
Um, big time production from the guard. Goodwin at 13 and 8 starting. So like they still had a lot of good stuff for sure. And they bounced back against Kansas State Tuesday night. Really like the basketball game I was at. And but yeah, they bounced back after Wascata went on the road against a struggling Kansas State team, but they've already bounced back. So excited to see how they do this weekend as well.
Who does Texas Tech have next?
Let me peek. Let me just pull up the whole Big 12 slate. Texas Tech hosts Cincinnati, and Oklahoma goes at Central
Hmm.
Saturday. So 2 winnable games for both of them, but winning at UCF it has proven not to be easy for anybody this conference play.
It's crazy that Texas Tech only has 2 losses from yesterday to all the way back to December 6th.
They're playing really well. The only losses are at Houston and at TCU in conference play. Like non-conference, they didn't really play anybody tough, but they've
Hmm.
proven to beat all the teams in conference play. I think the schedule is going to start to get a little bit tougher for them, but there's a lot of winnable games still for them, and I think they can get to double-digit wins at least in Big 12 play. They can really be up there towards the end of.
Yeah.
in March.
I'm definitely looking forward to the matchup against Baylor on the 6th.
Yeah, that'll be a big one.
Yeah.
Huge one for both. Because Baylor's kind of struggled a little bit. Baylor's lost 3 in a row. I didn't even think about that. They've played pretty good
Mhm.
basketball in all those games. They lost a close one at Kansas State, lost at Texas in a really tough one, and then
Yeah.
they lost triple overtime, I think, against TCU Saturday. That game was crazy. I'm sure we'll get
Hmm.
into that a little bit, but Baylor's just really, yeah, that'll be a big one for Texas Tech. See if they can keep the momentum going because that's a game Baylor's really going to need to have.
Hmm. We up next, TCU upset number 15 ranked Baylor in triple overtime, 105 to 102. This game was absolutely insane. Um, it was back and forth for a while, and I was really uh, just locked into this game. And Jameer Nelson scored the season high 30 points for Baylor. Um, Wait, is he with Baylor?
For TCU,
Yeah, TCU. Um, and I felt like Jacoby Walker played good for Baylor, even though they took the loss.
oh yeah, they did a lot of good things. Walter, is his last name Walter or Jacoby? I know you talk about. Yeah, he played really well. He didn't shoot the ball great though,
Hmm.
which kind of limited them a little bit, but he's still fantastic. Like the numbers are always going to be. And Ray J. Dennis had 24 and 10. I was able to watch bits and pieces. Just so many like big plays down the stretch for most teams. I felt like is a big reason this game extended to triple overtime. And just a lot of big stuff. You mentioned Nelson is season high. He's a big transfer they brought in, and there's been a little inconsistency, but
Hmm.
they have a lot of talent on that TCU team. The guards are really good, and Nelson really kind of shouldered the load. I feel like for them, they've had different games where different guys step up and make plays, and they kind of just keep feeding the hot hand. And tonight it was that game. It was his turn, and that's a big road win for them. TCU's kind of they struggled a little bit before that game, but
Hmm.
now they've won a few in a row. Um, they have a chance to, yeah, they lost the home game against Iowa State about a couple weeks ago. That kind of hurt them, and they had beaten Oklahoma State, but it's not. Oklahoma State's still, I think they still winless. Or did they win one? No, they beat West Virginia, so they have one conference. But definitely just a big win for TCU, and I think that's the type of win that can really catapult them and give them momentum, like to move forward strongly with into
Hmm.
the rest of conference play. And we saw that we might get in this game a little more later, but they beat Texas Tech at home last night, and then they got Texas Saturday at home, and who knows what can happen. But winning a game like that is just such a confidence booster, especially for Nelson. He had 30 in that game,
Hmm.
and how did he do? He only had 10 the next game, but Tennyson had 23 and Peavy had 18 against Texas. So like they don't need the same good. They don't need Nelson to score 30 every night. If he can give double digit production and Tennyson can go off that game, that's all they need. Just they have guys who can really score the basketball, and it's just just a fun basketball game too to watch.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoy tuning into those overtimes.
I like how Baylor's freshman Yavis Missy, he was a good asset to them, even though they lost, but he had a season high 25 points.
It was really good. He's been
Yeah.
really good this season for them. He's kind of surprised me.
What do you think about the expectations for them the rest of the season?
I think they can still be really good. I think they're clearly kind of not in that contender in the Big 12 tier, but the middle of the Big 12 is a lot of good tournament teams. I think Baylor's in that mix, maybe five,
Hmm.
6, 7 NCAA tournament seeds, something like that. French top 25 team, I think, for them. But like, I think Jalen Bridges is really talented. You mentioned Walter Jacoby, the freshman. I think he's super talented. Ray J. Dennis is really talented. He can really score the basketball. Langston Love. I think they don't quite have the punch, I think, from the guard position that they've had past years. But I
Hmm.
think Jalen Bridges is such an X factor, also a wing who can do a lot of different things. And Messi, you mentioned him. He had a great game and the freshman big. And I think he gives them something inside that a lot of Baylor teams haven't quite had. He can score the basketball, finish. He plays really smart. And but I think they can be a team that can be really dangerous and they can
Hmm.
beat almost anybody in the country with the talent and skill that they have. Scott Drew always does a great job too. But I don't think they're like upper echelon Big 12, but I definitely think Kansas and Houston, the teams like that, it's not going to be easy to beat Baylor, especially if you're going to Waco. They got a new arena. It's been interesting there, but definitely a fun basketball team. And I think the talent on the wing, especially, is the reason I think to be worried anytime you have to play these guys.
Hmm. Um, so I just wanted to add, it was the first three overtime game for Baylor since the 116 to 111 victory in five overtimes at Texas A&M on January 23rd, 2008.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's triple overtimes do not happen much. Occasionally you
yeah.
get double overtime, but like triple is rare. I don't the other pretty sure the only other recent one I remember Big 12 was KU Oklahoma.
Was there any NCAA tournament triple overtime games?
Not last year. I would have to look it up.
Uh,
I'm really curious.
yeah.
I'm gonna look that up real quick.
I feel like it's,
I feel like we remember quicker.
yeah.
Villanova had a triple overtime game in 1995. 1995 is the most recent triple
Hmm.
overtime game. Villanova and Old Dominion. Yeah, that's crazy. Not surprising. A little surprising you get. I guess it's pretty rare in the regular season too. It's been a
Yeah.
couple of double overtimes recently, I remember. But yeah, triple overtimes never. That's crazy. Yeah.
So we have one, two, three more games to recap from this past weekend, and then we'll move on to previewing the slate for this weekend.
Sweet.
So the next game, Wyoming. I don't know if you saw this game. Uh, Wyoming upset number 24 ranked Colorado State.
I did see that one.
Uh, Mason Archer scored at the buzzer to force overtime for Wyoming. And Akure Cott completed a 4-point play with the final in the final minute of overtime. That was a heck of a ending.
Yeah, it's really tough loss for Colorado State because they've
Yeah,
struggled a little bit to start conference play. Just the way that game ended. I don't remember the number, but they were up 11 with something like a minute left.
yeah.
I watched. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was something like that. Just all time bad choke job,
Hmm.
and it's not on the road. It's tough. You make that first turnover, and all of a sudden they make a shot here or there. It's down to like 5 or 6 with 45 seconds left, and it's like it's all over the place. It's tough to hold off. And props to Wyoming though. They've been tough. They've been a tough out for all these teams in conference play. They've beat a couple of them.
Hmm.
Nevada, and now they beat Colorado State. They've proven tough for some other teams, but at home especially, they're not going to be easy. I don't think they've lost a home game in conference play yet. They're 5-0 at home in conference, or 4-0 at home in conference play. Then have road win too. So like it's not going to be easy to win at Wyoming, and out west it gets a lot of credit, but for because I think they have some really good teams there, but whole conference, top to bottom, is really deep as well. And I
Hmm.
think that's going to hurt some of their NCAA tournament seedings and chances for teams. Because like if you have a team like Wyoming who's 12-9, they're a really good basketball team. They're definitely not, they're not an NCAA tournament team. But
Hmm.
they Colorado State at home because that's a tough environment and it's 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 a fun conference though. But yeah, that's a tough one for Colorado State and look to see them. They did bounce back already though. I don't want to get too much ahead if you plan on talking about, but last night they beat San Diego State. So good to see a little bounce back. That's a huge one they needed at home to really bolster that resume. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
that was just a crazy game Saturday, and it's not easy to bounce back from a big tough loss like that and get
Yeah.
your mind right and quick turnaround to a Tuesday game. But they did it, and excited to see how they kind of continue to build moving forward because I think they're one of the best mid majors in the country, and they can go on a
Hmm.
deep run in the tournament. But obviously, you got to get there and you put yourself in the best seat possible to give yourself a better path. I'm interested to see kind of how they move.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see how Colorado State reacts with their next game. Uh, they play who next?
It, they play at Fresno State Saturday, I
Oh,
believe.
okay.
Yeah, at Fresno State. So I mean,
That should be a easy W for them.
but on the road though. Fresno State's
Yeah.
proven a little tough. I don't know how they beat. They haven't beat any of the other top teams in the conference though, so that's one they have to win. I would say they've
Hmm.
only won two conference games. They've proven close. They've lost to Boise State by a few points. They almost won at Wyoming, but they lost by double digits to Nevada, San Diego State, and Utah State. Three of the other, I would say, the three top teams in the conference
Hmm.
of Colorado State. So I mean, Colorado State's got to take care of business and do the same thing, even if it is on the road. I think. But obviously, we saw against Wyoming, you can't. You got to play 40 good minutes. You can't play 39 good minutes, even in a game like that.
Yeah.
All it takes is a couple plays, and you head into overtime. Then you're not able to capitalize. So they
Hmm.
come to play, and I think they know that they got the big non-conference wins, and they kind of maybe got high on themselves a little bit. But I think they kind of a loss like that can really dial you back in. I think, and I prioritize every single basketball game.
Hmm. So our next two, Richmond upset number 16 ranked Dayton 69-64. Uh, I found this. It said Dayton had its nation leading 13 game winning streak snapped. Uh, and I feel like Richmond played a great second half. Um, and uh, Jordan King led 2-5 with two from the line, and they missed its final shot, which led to fans rushing the floor.
Yeah, that was a really cool scene because
Yeah.
Richmond's traditionally a pretty good basketball team, but yeah, Dayton's kind of been that head honcho in the A10
Hmm.
this season especially, and that's kind of the team everyone's chasing after. But definitely just that's a big win for Richmond because they lost Kylo Burton to Villanova in the
Hmm.
transfer portal, so they've lost some key guys in the portal, and they've still found a way to be really good. And that's a big win for them. Credit to how they defended Darren Holmes in that game. He got in foul trouble, but he only had 9 points, 8 boards, and just 26 minutes of action, but 2 for 12 from the field and missing some time with foul trouble. And that's a big reason I think Richmond was able to capitalize and get the win.
Uh, Apparently, the Spiders of Richmond made 18 of their final 19 free throws uh, to close it out, and I think that was a really big uh, like control of the game, and making free throws at this that stage of the game is crucial, and they did what they did and made the upset happen.
That's a really big point, yeah, because they were 23 for 30 total, which means if they were 18, 19, they would have started not great from the free throw line, so able to bounce
Mhm.
back and really knock some in is really key for them.
And that's the Georgia Tech upset North Carolina last night. What were your initial thoughts on that one?
I was shocked. I was following the score a little bit because I was at the K-State game. I was following it,
Yeah,
and I felt like North Carolina was up double. I thought they had a decent, not a big lead, but I thought they were up a little bit on some
yeah.
early. Felt like they were up a little bit, but then winning on the road is not easy. Like we talk about in the Big 12 and the Big East, because like those conferences we follow more. We talked about the Mountain West already on this show. Like,
Hmm.
and while the ACC is not like the bottom of the ACC, I think I'm pretty low. I don't think Georgia Tech's a very good team. Like winning on the road is not easy anywhere. Like it's just really tough to do, and it's tough to run the table, especially because North Carolina hasn't lost in a while. I would have to
Hmm.
did that. They haven't lost in conference play. They lost two. They lost. They haven't lost since before Christmas. They lost to Kentucky and Connecticut back to back. They might have been neutral games, but like Georgia Tech, I mean that's a big win for them though. Like you mentioned, OJ Davis was really good. He had 28. Like he tried to carry that team to a win, but he wasn't able to
Hmm.
do it. And just he didn't get a lot of help. Ingram was just 3 for 14. Baycott only 9 and 9. They weren't able to get him going. Elliot Cadeau fouled out 2 for 7. Cormac Ryan 3 for 14. So they had two guys shoot 3 for 14, and
Hmm.
then another starter fouled out, and then Baycott only has 9 points. Like that's not. I don't care how many Davis had. That's not a recipe for success on the road. You need multiple guys to step up, and that's what Georgia Tech had 3 guys who scored more than 15 points. The consistent effort, I think, gave them some options, and they were able to just really battle and find a way to win that game. And I forgot who hit that shot. Nathan George hit the layup with late in the game. One of the buzzer beaters pretty close. It was pretty late to win the game
Hmm.
for them. They were able to get the stop they needed after that. Just props to them because I know it's been a tough season for Georgia Tech and offensive play haven't started how they wanted. But anytime you get a chance to beat one of the best teams in the country at home, it's a really cool experience. But North Carolina's they got to flip the switch pretty quickly, and because this Saturday they got a big one.
Yeah, it should be interesting. So I have to cut this episode short. Uh, but I was uh just wanted to do the bets up the episode.
That's
If
good.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Okay.
We can do it quick.
So I think it's because there's a class gonna be in this room.
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Um.
do it quick.
So I would do my picks. I would
Sweet.
do. I think Purdue wins tonight. I'm gonna go with UNC over Duke. And Utah's. I'm gonna go with San Diego State over Utah State. And Houston against Kansas. I'm going to go with Houston. And Iowa State and Baylor. I'm going to go with Iowa State.
Like it. So I'll go with Purdue. I think Purdue's going to win tonight. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with North Carolina. I think they bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll go with San Diego State. I think they need a big win. I think they'll get it. I'm going to go with Kansas. I think they just defend home court at Allen Fieldhouse. And then I'm going to go with Baylor. I think Baylor gets a much needed one as well. So
Mm-hmm.
those are my picks.
Should be interesting, and definitely looking forward to our next episode, which we will talk about through text in the coming days. And looking forward to it.
Definitely. Yes, sir.